guys, thanks for tuning in. This is optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the new Hot Toys MMS 360 of the battling version of Captain America from Captain America Civil War. Now this is labeled as the movie promo version. Now I don't exactly know what that means. It may just well be their way of quickly getting this figure out by just minorly updating the pieces from the Age of Ultron Captain America. That way they can give it to us around the time of the Civil War movie release. I really don't know. That title kind of throws me off. But it is a slightly more updated version of Cap and really does look pretty good. Now for the package, you got the nice Civil War logo right there with Captain America. You can see Falcon kind of flying in there in the background with Red Wing. This kind of actually is a little bit weird. When you look closely, now some people say that this is Agent 13. Some people say that it's Black Widow. It looks a little bit more like Agent 13, but when you come around to the side, you can see that her arm extends, and she's holding the little baton things that Black Widow uses. So I have no idea who that is. I mean, this definitely looks like it's a more artistic representation of these characters. So I guess there's some artistic license there, but who knows? I don't know. You come around to the side, though, you can see right up here, very tiny, you got what looks like Ant-Man flying around on one of his ants. We know it's not Anthony because, unfortunately, Anthony died. And then you can see the arm for the Winter Soldier or Bucky as it comes around here, and then you can actually see who it is. And then at the top here, you also have Scarlet Witch, and then you got Hawkeye. So I really like how that's a full kind of wraparound image. That's really cool how they did that. You got this nice dirty kind of effect down here. One thing that's really neat, it is a very rough texture on here. As you rub your hands on here, it does have a kind of dirty feel to it, which is really very cool. You got Captain America there. You come around here to the back. You have various warnings and things of that nature. And then on this side, you have this nice reflective image of Captain America's shield. With a lot of these Avenger figures, it just slides up just like so. And you have this nice blue package on the inside with Captain America and everything. On the back here, you have the cast and crew responsible for making the figure. And then obviously you can see that you've got an open window that fully displays the figure and all of his accessories. And then down here at the bottom, it says, "Divided we fall." And that couldn't be more true than what we saw in Civil War here. So for the packaging here, I actually really do like with what they did with it. Artistically, it looks really very nice. But for the packaging, that's about it for it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. So here we have the movie promo version of Captain America from Civil War opened up and out of its packaging. Now, like all figures, he does come with his instructions. It really isn't overly complex or anything like that. It just kind of shows you what you can't do. Like, for example, it says that the outfit is non-detachable. Don't attempt to take it off, otherwise it may cause damage to the suit, obviously. And then you come down here, it shows you how to swap out his heads, how to detach the belt, which is kind of counterproductive because it says, you know, the outfit is non-detachable, but you can remove the belt, which really doesn't serve much of a purpose to actually take the belt off, you know, unless he's mad at, you know, Tony and he's going to take his belt off and beat him with his belt. I have no idea. And then you come around here to the back and it shows you how to attach his shield to his back as well as how you can actually have him hold it. Now, this is one of the parts that I really feel is a step back on this version of Cap compared to, well, some of the other ones, honestly, but more specifically the Age of Ultron one. But we'll get into that here in a little bit. Now, coming down for some of his accessories, you obviously got the figure itself. Get this out of the way. Now, in addition to the two fists that are currently on him, he also comes with a both right and left hand for kind of gripping the back straps here for his shield. So you do have a right and left hand that allows you to do that, so you can interchange it. And then you have two right hands, one with him, you know, doing the pointing finger, another one where he's kind of waving as if he's, you know, just being dramatic or something like that. Real nice detail on here. One thing that I am noticing over the recent Age of Ultron one is the hand is considerably smaller, but remember that Age of Ultron version had a magnet that was built into it, so that added to the bulk on it. But real nice. I really like how you got the cuff right here that kind of comes around here and actually overlaps. That's really cool how they did that. So real nice painted detail on there, and then you got a left hand that they still can't do this very good. It's in a, you know, I'm grabbing the shield kind of thing, but you can. I mean, there's no way you can do it unless you do it like that, I guess, or maybe like that. I mean, this, it's just too heavy, and that's too big of an opening. I mean, you can kind of wedge, you know, it like that. I mean, if you did it like that, where you had something balancing it on here, you could do it. But as soon as you take the weight off of there and put it on there, it just completely falls off. So they still don't do these very good. They never have. I don't know if they ever will, but still, it's nice that they have it. Now, as I'm showing this, this is the shield that he comes with. As you can see, this is the battling version of him, so you do have a kind of battle damage look for the shield, and it actually looks really cool, and you can see you got claw marks here from the Black Panther. You got a real nice paint detail going down here, giving a very dirty look. One thing that kind of sucks, though, is that these claw marks are just painted on there. I really wish, I mean, now granted, this is metal, so I don't know how they could have done it, but I really wish that they actually sculpted these scratches in there. I guess that kind of makes sense that, you know, the scratch would just be kind of on the surface where the paint is, because this is vibranium, but Black Panther used a vibranium suit, and I would imagine his claws were vibranium too, so vibranium on vibranium should have scratched that. So, I don't know, I mean, this is sculpted in, so yeah, I do kind of wish that they did that instead of just kind of reusing the kind of shield here. Then you come around here to the back. Now, this is part that I don't particularly like. They removed the magnetic feature on this, which is something I thought was a huge advantage over previous Captain America figures that the Age of Ultron one introduced. This, they have these little sections. I mean, these are removable, and that's actually kind of cool. But one thing that's kind of unfortunate is these pieces right here, the little clasps, are actually separate. This whole section right here is just kind of like a molded piece of softer plastic. So bringing in a previous shield that kind of showed you, previously you had like a section right here, and then the buckle was separate as well. But what they did is the buckle here now is just molded into the actual strap. So I feel that strapping wise, that's a little bit unfortunate, and it goes backwards. Plus, now to get them to hold this, they tell you, you know, you have to take it off. Okay, now we're going to put this in there. These are the steps that they tell you to do to get them to hold the shield. So now you got that. Okay, right. Then you have to take these, and then you have to connect it right there, and then do it on this side as well, and then lock that into place. And then you obviously you have it detached, and then you would detach it from the hand, and then you would slide the wrist through the bigger opening one, and then you would connect it. And well, there's the hand. There's Captain America's hand. The process just takes too long. I mean, it's not bad. And a follower of mine on Twitter actually said that he feels like it was kind of like cheating using a magnet before. Sure, I could totally understand that. I mean, if you enjoyed, you know, the process, but I like the quick aspect of having the magnet on there. I thought that was a great touch, a great advancement in the whole shield design and everything. And I really do feel that this goes back a couple steps. Number one, removing the magnet itself, and then number two, just having the strap all be one piece. I guess that minimizes the breakage for it, but I just think realism-wise, this strapping setup here is much nicer. Now, these ones can't detach at the actual base like these ones can. So, you know, it is what it is. And then, obviously, as you can see, this is the severely battle-damaged one that came with the Winter Soldier version, specifically in the set that came with Steve Rogers. So, I like the shield. I mean, like I said, it is still metal or die-cast or whatever. I just think that it could have been done better. I feel like what they all were trying to accomplish, you know, isn't bad, but I just think that it's, like I said, a couple steps back. Plus, I really wish that this was actually sculpted in scratching, but in general, pretty nice. Now, you also do get the hook for it, because you can't, I shouldn't have put it away, because you can't magnetically attach this to his back anymore. What you have to do is you remove these clips again, and this is how you attach it to his back. So you take this off, just like so. You now take this, put this off to the side, and you got this little hook thing here with these little clamps that kind of match what you just took off, and then you just put that in there, put that in there, and then you come around to the back of the figure, And you just spin it around. He's got the little holster still right here, and now you got this little thing. You just hook it on, and that's how you attach it. So you can still do it, but again, it's a process to do it. And I don't know. I'm kind of meh about that. There's a lot of really good stuff on this figure just in general, but a couple small things keep it from being a really great figure set, in my opinion. So you do have that. Now he does come with, well, I'll touch on that here in a second, but he does come with the Steve Rogers sculpt. This is the version that came with the Age of Ultron one, and coming in so that you can see this a little bit better. From what I can see, these are identical except for some paint variation. You can see that the Age of Ultron one has a little bit more blonde in his hair. This new Civil War one has a little, you know, I mean, it still has the blonde in there, but a little bit darker coloring in there as well. And then, I don't know how well this is going to come across, but the Age of Ultron one, this guy right here is kind of looking off to the side. Specifically, he's looking that way. Whereas the new one is a straight on look with the eyes. Hopefully you can see that. And honestly, I do prefer this new Civil War version. I like it when he's looking straight on him. You can get a little bit better of a look. I mean, you can kind of do that there, but when you're looking at it, it's like now he's looking down, but he's also kind of veering off into this direction, like he's looking at my finger or something right now. Whereas this, you got him just kind of looking straight. And I think that that's just in general a better look for a Hot Toy figure just in general. You know, I mean, eyes going off to the side, expressions and things like that. I'm very happy with kind of a neutral kind of expression. You know, so eyes going off to the side kind of annoy me just a tad. It's not bad, honestly, but that's really the only difference that I can see in here. And then, like I said, you get some paint fade, or I'm sorry, some paint change in the hair, basically. So you got less blonde in the new version. So the really nice head sculpt on this, though. But these are some of the things that you're seeing that, you know, afford Hot Toys the ability to get a figure like this out quicker. I mean, reusing this, slightly repainting it, doesn't take a lot of time in terms of development. I guess I should also mention that he does come with his wrist peg, so there you go. And then for one small minor accessory, he does come with the mask of actually Crossbones, which looks really very good. You can see it has a very militaristic sort of helmet kind of look. You got the really cool paint on there. You got the broken section, right? I mean, really very cool. You can't put it on anything, but in terms of new kind of stuff, this is something that you do get that, you know, I mean, it's cool as a display piece, I guess. You basically just kind of leave it there in the rubble, you know, and while, you know, Crossbones kind of let some people down, I actually thought it was pretty cool. He's a very, you know, well-liked character in the comics and things like that, so for them to bring him in any kind of way, I thought was a nice nod. And it's kind of cool to have that. Like I said, you just have it kind of hanging out there in the rubble. And then for the big main accessory is you do get this really nice new display stand. As you can see, you got Civil War, Captain America, and everything. This is honestly a pretty new looking base. I mean, it's not anything that we've gotten before from what I can really tell. It doesn't light up or anything like that. When you do get it, it comes in two pieces. You got this little section here, and then you got this. And then they do show you can take, I don't know actually where you're supposed to do it, but you got like these little grooves kind of right here where you can kind of put that. It doesn't sit there or anything, but you know, if you wanted to have him doing like a ground pound kind of thing, you got like a little wedge section where you can kind of put it. I don't really care that much, but then you just take this, and then again you got all these bullet holes and things in the back. I'm not exactly 100% certain what background this is supposed to represent, you know, whether it be the end battle scene in Civil War or when he's fighting Crossbones. Honestly, I have no idea. It's a cool display piece though. And then for the cradle, I didn't take it out because I'm not going to, but you got a clear pillar here, and then you have just the regular kind of crotch wedge that comes up underneath here. The whole section is right in there, so you just put that in there like so, and then you put this on there and you can have them stand on it. But again, really large base. I do wish that when they would include ones this large, they would also give you a smaller one, more like just their standard bases. That's just something that I really think that they should do, and I thought that for a while. But in terms of the accessories, that's everything. Now, coming to the figure himself, one thing that I'll say is that, really, unless you have both versions kind of standing in front of you, you don't really notice a lot different. But when you do get him, you can see that the Civil War version of his costume here does have some pretty key differences from that Age of Ultron look. And honestly, the figure itself is an overall improvement over that previous one. Now, on this battling version, he does have the exact same head that came with that Age of Ultron figure. Much like the Steve Rogers head is the exact same, you just got minor paint differences. You got that going on here as well. What I will say, though, is that this isn't the definitive version, or I should say the only version from Civil War that we're going to be getting. There is another one with 2 new head sculpts that's coming out. I would imagine the body is basically going to be the exact same. I mean, the suit doesn't change much. The only thing that might be different is some coloring and such. But we are getting a new Steve Rogers head sculpt, as well as a new Captain America one that has an interchangeable mouth, which is actually pretty cool because you'll have a more natural, just kind of blank face like that. And there's another one that has him with his teeth showing like he's angry. So you can get a lot of really cool dynamic sort of looks with it. And it just pops out much like the Batman figure, the Tim Burton movies that we got a little bit ago. But like I said, I think suit-wise, it's probably going to be the exact same. The shield is going to look different. It's going to be a more clean shield. But I think for the most part, a lot of the stuff kind of carries over that we're getting here. Suit-wise, though, and I'll do a comparison here, looks really very nice. One thing that I will say, though, is that I don't know if they changed the stitching pattern or if they slimmed down his internal suit, because a lot of these Captain America figures have like an internal sort of padding that kind of bulks him up and gives him a little bit more of a muscular kind of look. I don't know if they slimmed that down or if they're doing something differently, but the articulation on this particular version of Captain America is greatly improved. Now, obviously, with each new release, the articulation and material and stuff gets a little bit better. So currently, this is probably the best version of Captain America that you can get. As I showed you, you got the nice harness that comes around here to the back. You got a little, that's actually metal that you can hook his shield on. That's all kind of there. You got the very nice star pattern right here. You got the red, white, and the blue pattern kind of throughout his torso and everything. His hands are smaller than what we got on the Age of Ultron version. So I do believe that these are newly designed ones that'll probably be used in that future Civil War figure. They are a little bit smaller because, like I said, they don't have that magnet kind of built in. But it is a very, very similar suit. You got some nice detail down here with the boots and then the little shin covers and everything. So I really think that the best way to kind of proceed would be to give you the comparison. And here he is. And again, you know, like I said, unless you really have these side by side, you don't notice a heck of a lot in terms of the differences. It really is kind of interesting and really does kind of help when you have them kind of, you know, sitting next to each other. I mean, it's really very kind of cool. I mean, you get a real good appreciation for the changes that are actually done in the film. Stuff that you don't necessarily notice. Such as the fact that on the Age of Ultron version, he's got this red section that's kind of underneath the star pattern. I mean, over here, it's just blue. You can see that this is a little bit darker of a coloring than this. You got some white sections kind of there on his forearm. You got a completely different harness right there. The belt's very different. And then, like I was talking about, the hands here, you can see number one, they don't go up nearly as high, but you can also see just how big. I mean, they're really quite bulky. So turning that off to the side like that, you can see just how big those hands actually get. Again, you got the magnet kind of built in there. The design on the hands is very similar, obviously, so that doesn't really change much, but, or I shouldn't say the design, but the overall look on it is a little bit different. You got some red here on the inside, which the previous version, or the new version, doesn't have. I have to keep putting him down, but you got that on there. You come down here. One thing that's kind of cool about the actual pants, you can see on the old version, you have these little plastic, I don't want to say pinstriping, but you got like this plastic piece kind of added in different areas. You got some like here along the side, you got some coming down here on his thighs and things like that. Obviously, you got the little red pattern and everything. That was removed here on the new version, although you can still see that those patterns are kind of still there. They just removed the whole plastic aspect of it, which I actually like. I mean, it gives it a less busy kind of look. You come down here, the shin or the knee pads are different. You got this little kind of line thing going through the middle here, whereas this kind of is a little bit more high up on the top part of the knee, and then you got this section that comes down, and then you got the boot section here. The boots are completely different in terms of the actual feet, and then the shin pads here, you can see actually come up a little bit higher and then are different as well. A completely different sculpt on those, resulting also in a completely different paint job. So, like I said, there's a lot of differences on here that, honestly, you don't necessarily notice when you're just watching the movie, or, you know, even for me when I first looked at pictures of this. I mean, I really do like the Age of Ultron version. This is a good-looking figure. I do like the extra red that's on there. It gives it a little bit more, you know, of an American feel, I guess. You come around here to the side, you got the Avengers logo still there. Obviously, this is a little bit dirty. He's dirty just in general, and again, that's because he's battling and everything. You come around here to the back, and you can see that they also completely redid the back on it, whereas this has a zipper section. This kind of has a whole section that just kind of comes over. So again, I don't know if that was something that they did to help the overall articulation on the figure. For the Age of Ultron version, his articulation was pretty good. It wasn't as restricted as, say, the Winter Soldier one was. You could get a lot more range of motion with it, but you can feel that his arms here are pretty tight. The section right here does kind of bunch up, restricting some of that. This, though, has a much more, here, stand, crazy boy. This has a much more fluid kind of feel, and you can see you can actually get a more deep of a bend here at his elbow than you could with him. So again, like I said, I don't know if they just redid the stitching or redid the material that's in his arm or something like that, but you do get a better range of motion with him. It's kind of weird, but talking about his articulation, the head here is on a ball joint down at the base of the neck, so you get a kind of positioning like that, and then you can get it looking left and right and everything like that. Looks nice up and down, so you do get basically a full range of motion. Like I said, you do have the exact same head sculpt here. It is a little bit more dirty than the previous one, but really not that much. You come down here to the shoulders. Those have the armpit joint in there. You can also flex them up about that far. The Age of Ultron one also was. The arms move forward and back. You can kind of see that this whole section here is actually, I mean, it kind of covers it up right here, but there's actually two separate sections. You got this body section that comes around, and it's on this back section right here, and then underneath he does have another suit that's added on there, so when you move it around, you don't notice it, but it is actually two separate pieces of fabric, so you do get a decent range of motion. It is a little bit more limited, again, because you have to, you know, fight against that, but that's, you know, about as far as you're going to get it. He does rotate at the upper part of the bicep. He does have two elbow joints. What's going on here? Is that a little, oh, that came off. That probably shouldn't. What is that? I don't know what that little piece is. Oh, I get it. Okay, well, yeah, that kind of rubbed off on here, moving it around. Yeah, you got these little silver bits here, so be very, very careful. I'm going to have to glue that on there. That just kind of separated. It's just glued on. You have one there as well. That's kind of an unfortunate place for it, especially because when you close it, that's now closing on his armpit, so that's not a good place for those. But you also do have those on his abdomen section here. So I'm going to have to, like I said, fix that. The elbows, like I said, you can get a little bit more than a 90-degree bend with those elbows, which is really very, very nice. The wrists do rotate. They kind of move forward and back because of the fact that the cuffs on his glove come up pretty high. You don't get a ton of range of motion moving, you know, forward and back. They do rotate very nicely. The abdomen section here is a little bit more flexible than it was on previous versions. You can see that you can get a decent crunch. It doesn't really go side to side very much. He does rotate, but in doing so, you will probably pull out some of his shirt, and you'll probably have to end up tucking it back in. You get like a little crease going on right here, which isn't too bad. The belt is, as they were showing in the instructions, a separate piece that just attaches via some buttons. So you basically take that off. You got a little zipper section right here. You open that up, you pull his pants apart, and then you tuck the shirt in. It's really easy how you actually do it. The hips move forward about that far. They move back about that far. They move outward fairly decently. Again, real nice range of motion with those actual legs. I mean, you can get pretty good. Let me see. I'm not good at posing. You guys know that I'm not. But let's check out. I want to see if I can kind of do this. How cool would that be if I could actually do that here on the camera? I'm not going to cut. Oh, no, it sort of. wants to topple over one way. But let's, come on. Oh my gosh, look at that. How awesome is that? That is some great balancing. I mean, the joints are really very good on this, and I'm just amazed that I could actually do that. Wow, go me. You got 2 joints here at the knee. Oh, you also do have a thigh rotation, so you can rotate that around. You got the 2 joints down here at the knee, and then the ankles are on ball joints. As you can see, this section right here is separate, so you can really rotate that around, move it forward and back, and then just kind of position that to kind of help kind of hide that joint. So all in all, the figure really does absolutely impress me. The head sculpt really isn't too much of a difference, obviously, from the Age of Ultron version, but you know, I really did think that head sculpt in general was just about perfect. So I really don't think that they're going to be able to improve it all that much. The only thing that I really think that the new version of Cap is going to improve is being able to swap out the mouth. So when it comes down to it, you do have options on which figure to get. This one has the new suit and new body stuff, but with the old head, and then the one that's coming out eventually will have the same body as this, but a new head. So, you know, it's kind of up to you on which figure you really want, because I think both of them look really very good. In general, I'm actually really very happy with how this figure turned out. Yes, there are some things that I don't like, such as the fact that they removed the magnetic section. They didn't actually sculpt the claw marks in there. And then those little clasps on the inside here, I just worry, I mean, constantly taking them out and putting them back in, because they're made out of plastic, I worry about, you know, maybe breaking one of those little pieces. You know, one of those little prongs or something. But the otherwise improvements that they did to the figure really are very nice. The suit looks great. It is a much more accurate representation in terms of the current look for Captain America. And they really did do a good job of updating the articulation on him. You know, so when it comes down to deciding on which version from Civil War that you should get, it's really going to be a toss-up. The only thing that I can see that's really drastically different is going to be the face sculpt. Or I should say the new head sculpt. Like I said, you're getting a new Steve Rogers head, which honestly, I don't know how they're going to improve it all that much, because this one turned out great. But I do like the fact that on the new one, you have the ability to swap out the mouse, giving some more options in terms of posing. I mean, if you're going to have him fighting Iron Man or something like that, it would look cool to have a more angry look. You get the shield, as always. It doesn't look like this, so if you like that look, obviously you have to get this version. You do get the crossbones helmet with both versions, so you're not going to really miss out on that. I mean, really, it's going to come down to your personal preference. I think both look really very good, and there's really only minor differences between them. Cost-wise, this guy's going to run you about $230, which I don't think is really all that bad. I think for what you get, price that you're paying is pretty solid. Now, unfortunately right now though, this version is on the wait list at Sideshow Collectibles, which means you can join the list, and if for whatever reason some people's orders, you know, are declined or they cancel or something like that, they then go to the wait list and be like, oh, here's Paul. Okay, he's on the wait list. He can get this figure now. You know, somebody else cancels, Joe Schmo can get him. You know, so they have backup plans in case people cancel figures, or, you know, like I said, maybe their credit cards are declined or something like that. So he's probably going to be a little bit more tricky to get, which makes that, you know, future version from Civil War a little bit more appealing. But even if you're forced to get that final version, I don't really think you're missing out on too much. But either way, if you want to pick this up, join the waitlist, or even get, you know, that other version from Civil War, all you have to do is click on the link down in the video description. You'll go to Sideshow Collectibles, where you can check out availability on obviously this guy, as well as the rest of their 1/6 scale Sideshow and Hot Toy figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Don't forget that if you like this video, to please like and share it. Also, be sure to subscribe in case you haven't already subscribed. That way you never miss a future review of mine. And as always, until next time, I'll talk to you later.